Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of STEM with me. That's right, Mr. C. Today is really cool because it's our first experiment, which we're going to do survival science. Yes, we've got about 4 or 5 experiments which are going to talk about the science behind survival. So the first couple are going to be how to get water. Water is key to survival. And then the next couple experiments will talk about cooking, right? Once you have food, different ways you can cook food without using a stove or a microwave. So let's talk about water, first of all. Water, we need water, okay? Water, our body is made up of about 3/4, about 75% water. You get thirsty, you sweat, we need water to survive. An average human can go about 3 days without water. And I'm gonna tell you something, those 3 days are not going to be fun. Now that depends, right, on your environment, how hot it is, how cold it is, what kind of shape you're in. Are you in good shape? Do you need to kind of exercise a little more? And then how much are you actually working? Are you running around looking for food and shelter, or are you just kind of staying put? But we like to say 3 days without water. So water is super important. But if we're in the wilderness, right, if we're out in the woods and we're stranded on like some desert island, or maybe we're in the middle of a desert, maybe in the forest and there's not a water fountain or a water bottle to be found, how are we going to get water? And this is where we're going to turn to a friend I like to call the water cycle. We are going to use the water cycle and explain it at the end. We're going to use our friend the water cycle to get water seemingly out of thin air. And I realize I'm not really dressed for survival. I'm wearing a nice polo shirt here, so just give me a minute. I need to change into something a little more rustic and survival minded. Here we go. And whoa, woo, very good. All right, this is definitely a little more rustic and camping and survival. Can't wear a polo shirt out if you're on a desert island. Gotta wear something like a nice little flannel cotton shirt with a nice vest to keep you warm, and obviously a hat to keep the sun out of your face. Okay, so let's talk about our materials for this. I haven't even called it yet. It's called a solar still. We're gonna be making water and it's gonna look like it comes out of thin air. It's gonna be really cool. So let's talk about our materials. First thing, you're gonna need a large bowl. Now, obviously, let me give you a disclaimer here. We're not doing this out in the wilderness. Obviously, I understand if you were stranded on a desert island, you wouldn't necessarily have a nice Pyrex bowl with a wonderful cup that I bought at Target, nor would you have measuring cups full of water and salt. Any of these things you probably wouldn't have. I'm gonna show you a video from Mythbusters at the end, which kind of show how you can do this in real life. I have done this in real life, really just, you dig a hole and put a sheet over it, and we're gonna do the same thing. But obviously I don't wanna put you guys on a desert island, so this is why we're gonna teach you all about it here. So, nice big glass bowl. You're gonna want a cup. Now you want that cup to be shorter than the rim of the bowl. So, go ahead and if you look at it, right, you can see my cup is shorter than the lid, the edge of the bowl. So that's good, okay? And I'm actually gonna do 2. I'm gonna use 1 glass, and I have a metal bowl here. And so my cup, it's not too bad. I'm actually gonna trim it a little bit to make it a little shorter. I don't need this much water, okay? I'll get that out of the way. So you're gonna need, obviously, some dirty water, okay? Now, I'm gonna simulate dirty water by putting in food coloring, and I'm gonna put in some salt. And then we're gonna measure, the cool thing is, one, we can taste it, but we're gonna measure the difference between the salt water and the water that we actually pull from the atmosphere. And I have one of these tools that I got with my water filter. We'll give it a go. So anyway, food coloring, you can use salt. You can actually mix up some dirt if you want. If you want a real fun thing, try some apple juice or orange juice, mix it in with some water. Mix in something disgusting, right? And we're gonna see how we can get that water clean. You're gonna need some plastic wrap. So you can use cling wrap, you can use a sheet, a plastic sheet, as long as it just fits over the bowl. that's what you want, okay? Tape is gonna be helpful because you want to seal that plastic wrap all the way around the bull. Scissors, always helpful to have. And then we have our water here. And that's just gonna make, we're gonna make our disgusting, non-potable water, meaning not able to be drank. This is clean water, but once I start mixing salt and food coloring and other stuff, definitely don't want to drink it, okay? And then the last thing, you're gonna need some sort of rock or something semi-heavy, and that's gonna go right in the middle of the plastic sheet. I'll show you, don't worry. I don't have it here, I'm gonna get one from outside. Okay, so let's go ahead and just jump right into what we're doing. I'm gonna get you a nice top-down view and we're gonna see what's going on. All right, folks, here we are, and I've got my water here, and I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna add in a bunch of salt. Now, this is water, it's kind of warm because I wanna put a lot of salt in here. So I'm using Himalayan pink salt, just because I have a whole tub of it, and I'm not ever gonna use this much salt. And it's actually gonna make a really kind of, obviously cloudy, which is what we want. We want water that just looks kind of dirty. Obviously we don't want to drink it. Now this can simulate ocean water. There's an old tale, right? An old saying, water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. I'm gonna throw in some food coloring, just because. And that's the ocean, right? So you go to the ocean, let's say you're stranded on a boat somewhere and there's all this water, but you can't drink it. You can't drink salt water. I mean, well, you can, but it has the opposite effect of making you less thirsty. It actually makes you more thirsty. And that has to do with your cells and osmosis, which we learned from the egg experiment. We can talk about that later. So there we go. That's pretty good. And let's go ahead and take a little sip here. Oh yeah. Ugh, that is salty water. And we're gonna measure this in a minute. Oh, that is salty, salty water. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing here. Just start mixing in salt. Beautiful, just start mixing in. There's no real amount. You can make it as salty, you can make it as dirty, as nasty as you want. I'm gonna stir that up, add in some food coloring. Beautiful, beautiful, look at that. All right, awesome. All right. And there we go, got a little food coloring there on my, here we go, all right. Stir that up. Beautiful, we got nice salty water. All right, let's go ahead and measure this and see, and I'll explain my measurement tool that I have, and we'll see how dirty this water is. Okay, so I have a little tool here that came with my water filter. I use a Zero water filter, and it can test the amount of particulates or different things in your water. And that could be anything. There's a whole bunch of things. I'll list them here, all the things that can be in water. And again, this isn't necessarily bad, it just can obviously affect the taste. If you've ever tasted filtered water compared to tap water, there's a little bit of a difference. So here's my Zero water, and we'll go ahead and plop it in, and we'll see, we can see that measures out at 0, okay? I just replaced the filter, so that's good. That at least tells me that my my water filter is doing its job. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's 0. And while I'm here, take a little drink. Ooh, that is good water.
And that's what I call high-quality H2O.
Okay, and here's tap water. And let's go ahead and plop that in and see what that does. So then obviously it pops up a little bit, right? It goes up to 199. There we go, get that out of the light. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, that's just, the water is safe to drink, but you can tell the difference between, obviously, the filtered water, and then take a drink of the tap water. You know, and then you can taste a little bit, you know, of things that they've used, you know, so maybe a little bit of, hopefully not a lot of chlorine, but stuff to kill bacteria, and there's some other particulates in there. So that's not terribly bad. But now that's 198. Let's go ahead and test our salt water. And we're up to like, oh my gosh, look at that. What is that, 700? I mean, it's like all over the place, about 700. So that's bad. Obviously we don't want to be drinking that. And let's test out my other one. I think I put way more stuff in there. Let's take a look. Yeah, we're at the 500s, right? So that's, yeah, it's at 300, 200, 400. Obviously, not something we want to be drinking, right? Okay, perfect. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and set up our solar still. All right, so I'm gonna take, first thing I'm gonna do, take my bowl, and so I'm gonna take my cup of water, and I've already dumped it in there, perfect. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our second cup, and we're gonna place it in here. Now I want you to look at something. This may happen to you. You see how that cup, it's kind of floating around, but watch what happens if it just, yeah, you don't want that to happen, right? So I need something to weigh this down, or I can get a smaller cup. So what I'm gonna do is I've got a tiny little glass here, and I'm just gonna plop that right in the center. And so that's kind of cool because one, it weighs it down, and two, I've got a second little cup in there. So you take a little look right here, and that's what it looks like. And that's perfect, that's exactly what I need. All right, so we're done there, and we can actually add more water if we want. I don't think we need to add a ton, but not too much, right? I don't want this thing moving around too much. That thing needs to stay pretty still. So I'm pretty good with that. So we got a little couple floaties in there, and I'm even going to just add another little chunk of salt, right? Just to really show you how dirty we can make this water, okay? Here's a tip, right? You wanna make sure nothing gets in there. You don't want any water in there, okay? That needs to be clean. I've got a couple drops, but I think that's just for me rinsing it out. Perfect. All right, from here, all we're gonna do is take our plastic wrap and gently, carefully seal up your bowl. Okay, be very careful. If you've ever had fun with plastic wrap, so fun. Now what you want to do, this needs to be fairly tight because you do not want, right, you don't want that plastic touching the cup. You're just not going to get a great result. So you make sure this is really tight and sealed up. Now I've got a little opening here, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little piece of plastic over there. I don't need to redo the whole thing. You just put a piece of plastic. Oh, how I love plastic wrap. Clings onto itself, but seems like nothing else. So there we go. I'm really good with that, okay? Really good with that. And then just to make sure this isn't going anywhere, I'm just gonna take a piece of tape and I'm going to wrap it around my bowl. If you have good cling wrap, you may not need to do this, but really it doesn't hurt to just put in a little extra layer of security there because you want that thing nice and tight. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There we go. Tape it up. All right, and I'm really good with that, okay? I feel really good with that. You see that's kind of moving around. That's okay, it's not moving around much. When we go outside, I'm actually gonna show you, we'll do our second part where we put the rock or something right there, and that's gonna, you see it kind of bending everything down. That's what we want. All right, I'm gonna do my second bowl here just to show you. Same thing, all right, I've got my metal bowl, move it closer to you. Same thing, I'm gonna put in my nasty dirty water. Don't need a lot. And let's go ahead and take, so I cut my plastic cup right there, and I know that's obviously, I mean, that's gonna float, and that's wonderful. I don't want that to happen. I want that to be rooted down there. Beautiful, look at that. That's beautiful. Look how low that is. Oh, that's exactly what we want. All right, go ahead and take our plastic wrap, put it over, and this is good, right? So it's a nice diameter of a bowl, but the problem is this won't stick to metal. And so this is where we're gonna have to use our tape. Come on, plastic wrap. Come on. You can do it. Well, close. Close. The fun of plastic wrap. So I'm just gonna do another thing here. There we go. Using this cling wrap is one of my least favorite things to do, because again, it seems to bunch up on everything but what I need it to. All right, so again, make sure that's nice and tight. All right, and again, I am gonna have to use tape here. So now all I'm doing is just taping everything down. I want this to be, make sure there's not any leaks, okay? And I'm pretty good with that. I got a couple spots probably right here I need to work on. So, now as I'm doing that, you guys should be working on yours, because now our next step is we're gonna go outside. And fortunately, it looks like we have some good weather coming in. So we want a nice sunny day. And I think we're gonna get our wishes today. It's supposed to be nice and warm today. I think a high of 79 degrees. Perfect, exactly what we want. Okay, I am good with this. All right, so now you're gonna go ahead and join me outside and we'll finish up our experiment, part one of it, and then we're gonna come back in a couple hours. You can leave it out there as long as you want, but a couple hours should be good, end of the day, and we'll check in and see how well we did. Okay, so we're outside and I found two good spots to put our solar stills. First one we have right here.
Yeah.
Perfect. So right in the sun, look at that, not a cloud in the sky.
Oh, that's sunny out.
And you can probably already see, look at that little, looks like fog there. Well,
Evaporation.
Evaporation happening, condensation is happening. That's exactly what we want. So AP got me a rock. Let's go ahead and take your rock and place it right. Yeah, you see where it is directly above the cup. That's exactly where you want it to go. Doesn't need to be a huge rock, just big enough where it can make a little dent. Perfect. Let's go over here. So AP's gonna do the same thing.
There we go.
All right, and if it's a little, and that's actually, man, I made that really tight, but that's gonna be great. Push down a little bit, and that is exactly what we want. So check out the difference, right? You see it's nothing there, and that condensation is already starting to happen. So we're gonna check on this
In a couple of hours.
in a couple hours, probably after lunch. I'd even say maybe a couple hours after that. Hottest part of the day is usually 2 or 3 p.m. So that should be awesome. All right, so don't go anywhere, or if you need to go anywhere, go get some lunch.
Yeah.
Check on this,
Or get some water.
or get some water, and we will be back here in a couple of hours. All right, see ya.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. So we've got our solar stills, and I actually left them out until about 7 o'clock. And let's go ahead and take a look. You can see all of this. Look at that. See all the water there? That's great. That is all condensation caused when the blue water, when our nasty salt water evaporated. Let's check the other one here. Yeah, just as good. Very nice. And we'll open it up and we'll check inside. Now there's a couple things I want to show you. A couple of the things I kind of did, I could have done better. One, you see all these drops here, and those drops are fine, but what we want is we want those drops to run down, right? That's what we want. We want them to run down. And unfortunately, my plastic wrap, it's just a little too even, just a little too level. Now it tilts down there, but then we've got this little divot there. So what we don't want that to drip back into the salt water. It's not bad if it does, it's just, that's water that we then can't drink. We have to wait for it to evaporate again. I did a little bit better here, but really you want that plastic to go down into like a V, and that really helps. I think I probably could have made this looser because my cup is really, really short, and so I really could have made it into a nice V. I think my cup here is just too big, because if I push down too hard, it touches the cup lid. We definitely don't want that. So all of this right here, we're going to try and capture and get it into our water so we can test it. So let's go ahead and take the tape off. so we've taken our plastic wrap off, and let's go ahead and take a look and see how much water we collected. All right, so our silver bowl here did really well. We got a lot of water, not only in our little glass cup there, we got a little bit outside, perfect. And we didn't get as much, we got a little bit in, yeah, we did okay. Really, I think the construction of that plastic wrap, how it didn't tip down into a V, I think that was probably one of the reasons, but that's okay, you know, we still got a lot. Now look, you see all that dirt and sand and grit in there, and then let's take a look at our water here, and just take the glass out, and you can really see, look at that. I mean, beautiful. Look at that. And we're gonna test that in a minute to see how clean that is. And so that's from this one there. Awesome. And then we can do the same thing here. Oh, look at that. Gorgeous. I mean, that is beautiful. All right, we're gonna test that and see, do I have any? I don't have, I got a little bit of water. A little bit of water. Perfect. All right, and then same thing, you see all the dirt and the nasty, the salt and ugh. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and test it, and then I will actually drink these, and then we will finish up. All right, I've got my little water tester here, and we'll go ahead and test out, just to show, let's go ahead and test out, zero it out, perfect. Let's test out our nasty, dirty water. Let's see what it looks like here. And we are still at, oh wow, 826, if you guys can see that. Wow, yeah, that's pretty, let's get away from the light. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty dirty. All right, and let's test our other one. Yeah, we're at what, 803? And that's just telling us how many, you know, particulates and things that are just gonna make the water, one, not taste good, and two, really not good for us. Wow, all right, that's pretty gross. All right, and then I'm going to, we got a little bit of water there. Beautiful. All right, and I'm gonna rinse this out. All right, here comes the moment of truth. Let's do the glass bowl first. So this is the water that came from the glass bowl, and let's really get a nice tight zoom in here. And you know, you're probably looking, you're like, well, it didn't really make a whole lot of water. No, it didn't. And again, that's one of the things when it comes into survival, you wouldn't just make one of these. You'd probably have to make quite a few in order to make enough water to like survive. But for our sake, it's kind of cool to see it in action. So let's see what it is. And we are at, you know, 200, 300 and so, and that's really not bad, going down from 800 to 200, and that's probably closer to where tap water is, as we when we measured our tap water. Let's try our other one from the steel bowl, the still that we used, and let's see if that fared any better. Okay, you know, we're up at, wow, 46, 47, what? 50? I mean, that is impressive. That's impressive. All right, so now, obviously, the test is it potable? Meaning, is it drinkable? So here's the one from the glass still, the glass bowl. You know, and it tastes like water. I mean, yeah, I mean, it tastes like tap water, yeah. Yeah, it just tastes like tap water. It's not really that bad. Not as good as like the zero filter water, but I mean, that's still drinkable water. All right, here we go. Here's the one from the steel bowl. Yeah, that's just, tastes like tap water. Really not bad. Yeah, I mean, that's clean water. Amazing, right? That we can go from this nasty blue liquid, right? This nasty blue salt water with Himalayan salt and food coloring, you know, to something that's clean like this. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, that's just clean water right there. Wow, that is good. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening here. And so really what we did, we not only did survival science, we also learned a little bit about the water cycle. And the water cycle, right, there's the continuous change in movement of water throughout the earth, right? So the spheres that you have, right, the atmosphere, the biosphere, the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, right? These changes were known as the water cycle, right? And so what happens is the water cycle is really driven by the sun, as we did with our still here, right? So it needed to be in a sunny, warm place, right? So what happens is the sun hits the water, warms it up, right? And then it changes the liquid water into gas, right? Into water vapor, right? And that is called evaporation, in which we actually can't really see it, but you can see the end process, which called condensation, right? We saw those little drops of water on the plastic film. Okay, so in Earth, right, not in our little solar still, in Earth, right, the water evaporates and it goes up into the clouds, right? And then it kind of circulates and gets up in the atmosphere, and then it cools down and it changes back into a liquid. That's called condensation, which is what we saw. And then when that water vapor, when it condenses, right, tiny drops start to form in clouds. And then when the clouds have too much condensation, too much water, it then starts to rain down, which is called precipitation. And so really we just did a little mini water cycle here, but we did it to kind of stay alive, right? Water is extremely important, and this is a great way to purify water. You take that salty, dirty, brackish, nasty water, let the sun heat it up, have a plastic sheet over it, it evaporates, condenses on that plastic sheet, and it drips down into the center of our little drinking glass, and then we have cool, clean water. Very cool. Now there is a couple things. This is going to be great because all of those sediments, right, and as you can see, the bottom here, all of that, the sediment and the salt and everything is all just sitting right there at the bottom. And that's where that just gets left over. And so the salts and the heavy stuff that tastes nasty and we don't want to drink gets left in the nasty water, and then all we get is the nice, clean, purified water. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. Really cool, and it does take a long time, right, to get any semblance of like a lot of water. So if you are in the desert or on a deserted island or in the mountains or in the forest and you are dying of thirst, you might want to do this quickly, and you might want to make more than one, because again, you don't get a lot of water. You know, you get a little bit of water over the day, so you need to have several of these in order to kind of get your water supply. So that's survival science number one. Number two, we're gonna do the same thing, but we're actually gonna do it with the help of a tree next week. Should be a lot of fun. All right, hope you enjoyed this. Let me know how it went, and I'll catch you next time for some more STEM with Mr. C. Bye.